Looks like you and me, Deb.
That's a good thing.
How we doing?
I'm doing all right. I was gonna talk to you and I just didn't have time. Well, I think I'm gonna switch chairs too. I'm gonna give this funky chair over here between us.
What's
It won't go up and down. It's a joke.
They won't go up high enough for me. I feel like I'm sitting down here like a little kid eating at the table.
realized I probably should have printed out part of that.
So how are you doing?
I'm glad Gracie came back from maternity leave today.
Oh, like that. Oh, I thought she was coming around.
She is planning.
I put her back. I know she did a lot of
Where'd the delinquent go?
I talked to her and Jordan. Well, mostly Jordan, but I talked
He's
to her.
probably trying to hit the coffee again.
She was gonna go back. She's not wanting to. I said, oh, I'm not with that new baby.
Look at what he's got in his hand. So,
Yeah, I would say you've been
Try not to look at the cover. Yeah, and normal circumstances are,
was put in the back of the classroom, because if you didn't, and was in the front of the classroom, you turn your back, everybody be in riot.
but
He's a back row kid, I would call him.
definitely, without question.
I don't think these are on, sir. If they are, they're not working real good. Hello?
Testing, testing, testing.
I can yell, I guess.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah. I don't even have to get too close. Hello. We'll wait on Dan here for just a second. I think he's getting ready to speak.
Too easy.
Oh, wait.
Good. Of course.
Oh,
Yeah, here's a leak.
are they like similar?
That's a leak.
I've never seen them growing like that anyway.
Oh, yeah, they're big. I planted these. Like
Anticipation, it's making me wait.
I'm on the back row.
Everyone knows I'm ADHD. I'm not going to be able to sit here much longer.
There's a big leak in our house.
We can start. He'll come in. Where'd he go?
He's probably looking for you.
You don't wanna keep singing?
I can. I know lots of
I
songs.
hear the door shutting. So. This kid. Well, good evening and welcome to the 21st of June's meeting of the Morgan County Council evening session. We're going to begin with a prayer. It's going to be given by Josh Messmer, our county administrator, and then we're changing the pledge line. I'll tell you about that after our prayer.
Lord, we just want to thank you for this evening and the opportunity to be in the people's house and for the ability to be able to deliberate on matters that affect our citizenry. And we just pray for wisdom in that for all the elected officials, for all of the people who advise them. And Lord, we also just pray for the citizens to be blessed by their leaders, to have our community thrive and flourish more and more from year to year. And we just thank you, and we just pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Josh. Our pledge, normally since the first of the year, we've been using a veteran to lead our pledge, and we're going to continue that off and on, but I decided we'd try something a little different. And no offense to those who've been leading us, Mr. Warren. I don't know what rank you were, but you've done a commendable job with us in the county. But tonight I'm going to begin another kind of, I suppose, a practice, is that we'll give the pledge in honor of a veteran. And all of us have veterans that we honor, and I'm going to use my privilege as president of the council to tonight give the pledge or lead the pledge in honor of my grandfather, Frank Adams, who was a veteran of World War I and chief of police in Martinsville and deputy sheriff of Morgan County and a great-grandpa. So this is for Frank. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Our first order, boy, is that too loud or am I just frightened? It's okay? Sit down a little bit. Thank you. I don't want to shock everybody. First order of business tonight is to recognize the community crossing grant that was we opened the bids on last meeting. Josh?
Yes, Tony has reviewed all the bids. We thought Milestone was the apparent low bidder of $1,869,534.95, and that still stands. So he will be coordinating with Milestone to get the approved bid package from them this coming week.
Thank you. You gentlemen have any questions or comments?
Motion to accept the low bid from Milestone of $1,869,534.85.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to accept the bid from Milestone. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. Thank you, Josh. And we don't have anybody from Milestone here. I think they were here last meeting. But we thank them and all the bidders that contributed to the process. Next, we have some grant applications from Court Services. Mr. Foley. Okay.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Evening.
I am here, I guess, first to talk about our community corrections grants. These are the larger grants that fund our community corrections program, including community corrections staff, programming, and the home detention program. The application form is written as not to exceed $750,000 on that one. And the grant is due for submission July 9th. And at this time, the current budget I have drafted is about $676,666. And that is partially funded by our user fees, which are referred to as project income. And the other part would be direct state Department of Correction awarded funds. To piggyback on that is the jail treatment grant. And that basically runs what we call the RSAP program at the jail. It's the Residential Substance Abuse Program for jail offenders. And that grant is not to exceed $225,000. The current budget on that one is approximately $190,000. I don't envision that will change much. But just to make you aware of the process, we would submit the grant, it gets reviewed in the fall, and usually sometime in October, we have to do a revised budget within what boundaries they give you.
So in
Do you have any
addition,
questions about those?
there's a lot more than probation goes on in probation, isn't there?
There is.
And we appreciate the work that you do to maintain and acquire those grants.
Well, thank you. Those are, the
appreciate
Community
it.
Corrections Grant has been around, I think, since 1984, somewhere in there, and the jail treatment, 2015.
Well, thank you for the work you do. Do we have any comments or questions from the board? If none, I'll accept a motion that we approve these, or I'll accept any motion that you would like to make.
Go ahead and make a motion, we approve the 2022 Adult Community Corrections Grant in the amount not to exceed $750,000, as well as the 2022 Jail Treatment Grant not to exceed amount of $225,000.
Did we have the other, there was another grant there for the
There
addictions.
is. Do you want me to add that to this? It's a
Would you-
separate
would
grant.
that- Would you want to keep that separate, or do you want to go ahead and just accept that?
I can go ahead and relay a couple
All right.
pieces of information. It is officially called the Justice Partners Addictions Response Grant. It was first offered a couple years ago, so we received that funding in 2020. That is a $60,000 grant where we have, basically, it has to be through the court system, so it's approved by the judges and our local evidence-based decision-making team, which Josh is a part of, and Commissioner Collier. But that grant really allows us to hire a person, a contractual staff member, to work along what we call all the intercepts. So from emergency rooms, emergency response people, all the way through actually agencies and clients that are sentenced, just trying to look at the data and see what needs exist for this population of offenders and people. And Joni's actually here. Joni, I'll go ahead and introduce you to Joni. Joni, if you want to stand up. This is Joni Bishop. Joni is originally from Indiana and has spent quite a few years in Florida with her professional career. She has been a probation officer and actually a detective that specialized in sex crimes. So we are pleased to have her. She has a wealth of experience, and she has participated in a lot of different community functions as well. But that is a $60,000 grant, and it would be for basically starting in November through the end of October 2022.
Thank you. Do you will include that in your motion?
I would go ahead and include the Justice Partners Addiction Response Grant in the amount of $60,000 as well.
Seconds.
Motion on the 3 grant approvals or applications. And it's been seconded. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Motion passes 3-0, and I thank you, Mr. Foley.
Thank you.
And
Thank your
welcome,
staff for
Mr.
taking,
Foley,
doing the extra
named
work to get
Max.
the grants.
I'm sorry?
I always thank people that go out and do the extra work to get the grants.
It is. It's a lot of funding.
Yes.
Well, I see you get good work, and Joni, glad to have you working on your program with us. And welcome back to Indiana. I guess you decided to leave it at one time? Well, you got good sense in return. Good for you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next on the agenda, we have 3 zoning requests, rezone requests, excuse me, that are coming from the planning, and want to take them one at a time. I expect that's the best way of doing it. So, Miss Laura Parker from our Planning Commission Director. And she had sense enough to move to Morgan from Hendricks.
Absolutely. I don't see the petitioner here for the first item, but I think given the basic nature of the request, if you'd like to consider it tonight, I can answer any questions for you on that one. That one's the Sadler rezoning on Letterman Road.
Letterman Road,
They're doing
correct.
a minor plat, and that requires rezoning to R1.
We have quite a lot of documents in here on our thing from that. We appreciate
Yeah,
that.
I want you to have all the paperwork that the
Well,
planning
you certainly
commission saw.
fixed us right up.
And
And
it is,
that was a 7-0
yeah, it
vote in the.
includes their certification of 7-0.
Okay. You gentlemen have any questions on the board? I'll accept a motion on
Would
this.
make a motion, we approve the recommendation of the Planning Commission Board to rezone the Letterman Road property from agricultural to R1.
Brian Collier seconds.
Motion's been made and seconded for the Letterman Road rezone request. Is there anybody in the audience, I suppose, that would want to comment on that? All right. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Motion passes 3-0. You have another rezone recommendation or
The-
request?
Right. The next one is for property, again, that's a minor plat for residential purposes, so it's going to be rezoned to R1, and that's at the corner of 144 and Centenary. Mr. Larison apologized he couldn't be here tonight because he's ill, and I offered again to respond to any questions, given the standard nature of the request. So if you have any questions, Plan Commission recommended 7-0 in favor of the request.
Centenary and 144, does he give
On the
mushroom
south-
privileges?
It's-
I always drive by there and say, oh my gosh, look,
Yeah.
there's got to be mushroom out
The
there.
plat is called Birdhouse Hill.
Yeah, Birdhouse Hill.
So,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's what we always knew
Yep.
it as. Any questions from the board?
Go ahead and make a motion, we approve the Smith minor plat that's currently ag to R1 as well.
Do we have a second?
Brian Collier seconds.
Brian Collier seconds. Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 3-0. Thank you on that one. We have one more.
There is one more. I think the petitioner's representative is here, but while I'm here, I'll just say that the Plan Commission reviewed this, agreed to the written commitments with a few additional from staff, and recommended to you a 7-0 favorable recommendation of the rezoning to B3 with certain written restrictions on certain uses.
Okay, you say a petitioner is with us?
He's here, yeah. So unless you have any questions for me, I'll yield the floor to him. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carlos. Thank you. And colleague, or Dale.
Thank you. I'm Dale Coffey. I'm here tonight for the petitioner in this case, Robert Lee. We were here last month, if you recall, and we went back to the Plan Commission last week actually, and we had made some commitments to them for them to consider with the rezone to B3 with the commitments. We had a few additional that the staff recommended. Mr. Lee didn't have any problems with that, so we're here tonight asking for the rezone from R4 to B3 with the written commitments. I believe you have a copy of the proposed ordinance there with you, so that's what we're asking for this evening.
Thank you for going back and taking the time and the due diligence there. Brian Collier makes a motion that we accept the request from R4 to B3 with the written commitments for BRL properties.
Second.
And a motion's been made and second to approve this rezone request. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And
Thank you.
thank you, Mr. Coffey. Appreciate it. On the next item on the agenda are some road names. Sandy, do you want to address the road change request?
Good evening.
Hi, Sandy.
I just went ahead and just did a list of road names instead of actually coming before you each time. It seems like it's more and more prevalent now that the county is growing. And so it's just a list of names that I would just pull from. There is in no particular order. And I know Kenny had this position and he always looks over, make sure the pre-directions is done and everything before I presented them and stuff like that. But these are just the names. They don't have the pre-direction, have ranges. They're just generic names that I've just came up through the internet and people have suggested and stuff.
I don't see an Adam. Oh, they already have one of those, don't they? Maybe we'll get a Collier Street, huh? Noah Hale's got to be out there someplace. Thank you for that list of suggestions.
And these streets aren't
I
anywhere.
know he has a,
I mean, these are,
The what?
like, you're getting Country Club Road paved, only to find out it wasn't the Country Club Road that I've been on 100 times. So
Oh,
I'm
there's
just
two
making sure
Country
these
Club roads.
aren't somewhere else, right?
Yep. Yeah, that,
and I know that we do try to keep similar road names off of main roads, the lane, the drive. I do realize we still try to do that also, so.
I appreciate that.
Sandy, my only comment or concern at all is the similarity between Bay and Bray.
Okay.
That's the only one that I've got an issue with at all.
Yeah, that might be a
I
little
will scratch
confusing.
that one off.
I really like Pebble Beach with the,
If we find some water, that one will be.
well, it's got a beach like a tree.
Yep.
So you got rocks and trees. All right. Well, any comments or questions from the board? With the exception of the Bay? I'll accept a motion. I'll entertain a motion.
Go ahead and make a motion, we approve the proposed road names as submitted tonight.
With the exception of Bay?
Yes, please, I'm sorry. I already marked it off on my,
I wanted
Forgive me.
it in the motion, so.
yes.
Okay.
yes.
Motion been made. Is there a second?
I'll second.
And a motion made and second on the proposed road names from the planning department. Appreciate that, Sandy. And all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And the motion passes, I think, 3-0. I think they were in a conference, but he made the motion, so.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, next item is the Knobstone Trail update. Randall? Thank you, sir.
I would like some of the future road names to follow Greek mythology. We're going to have some really cool names.
Pfluger the hard way, sorry for the spelling. So my name is Randall Pfluger. I'm the outreach coordinator for the Knobstone Hiking Trail Association. The KHTA is headquartered in Martinsville. It's an all-volunteer, not-for-profit, and it's focused on promoting the KT as a multi-county regional asset. And those counties include Morgan, Brown, Monroe, Lawrence, Jackson, Washington, Scott, and Clark.
And what was the last one?
Clark
Clark.
County.
Looks like we can get to the river, is that right? We're going to,
Actually, there's
the plan?
a pleasant diversion is to consider the pending rail trail connection down there to the
Okay.
CSX line that would get you right to the river. And that's something that I believe Radius is thinking about very carefully. So to accomplish this, as outreach coordinator, I and other people on our organization talk to local governments like yourselves, state legislators. We attend hearings as needed. We talk to regional entities like Radius and Indiana Uplands. And we talk extensively with the expertise in the trails and conservation community. Right now, the trail, which is intended to be 160 miles long when completed, going all the way from Clark County, Clark State Forest to Martinsville, is about 3/4 complete. There are certain gaps in there, but you're talking about 134 miles accounted for out of 163. And we've accounted for all the gaps that are in the trail. So we know where the challenges are and where the opportunities are. So in Morgan County right now, there are presently 8 miles, starting from Morgan Monroe State Forest headquarters. And there's room for a little more. We're working on that. But if you start from there, it's roughly a 50-mile hike to Maumee Scout Reservation. For the, I know there are people that hike this way to Morgan Monroe State Forest. And again, it's an interesting synergy. As it stands right now, in 2018, we added 28 miles to the KT, hosted by the Hoosier National Forest. And that was designed specifically to wrap around Maumee Scout Reservation. So this was meant not only as a regional asset, but as a scout asset. And the people that maintain that trail in the HNF are associated with scouting. So my purpose here is to thank you, well, in addition to thanking you for speaking, is to indicate that we support any kind of Morgan County Trails infrastructure development. And when, I look at Waverly and the linear park there as part of that. We really appreciate that being there. So I'm probably the first person to notice that as of recently, it's sort of challenging to navigate Martinsville coming to and fro. I know I'm the only one that's seen this, but you might think of this as a kinder, more gentler, and vastly less expensive infrastructure. So that's it.
Well, thank you, sir.
And if there's any questions, I'll take them on the status of the trail, but
Where's I guess you say the trailhead going to be in Morgan?
presently the trailhead is at the near to Morgan Monroe State Forest headquarters.
Okay.
That's the northern terminus of the Tecumseh Trail.
Well, it's through some very beautiful country, and I appreciate your volunteering and helping out with the program and knowing as we were talking about before the meeting, the Maumee area. I appreciate.
It's something most people don't know about, that it has that connection.
Right.
And I'm going to just add a little piece in here.
Please do.
For Randy. Right now, the KT already has easements across the Conservation Club, right out here off of Jordan Road. So there is that section of it. It's already there. It's already cut through. It's already actually marked with the little KT signs. And we are working with Senator Bray with DNR to get that. Basically, it's 10 miles from right there
Every bit of 10 miles, yes.
Every bit of 10 miles from right there to the Tecumseh Trailhead. So, I mean, we are asking for that. We're also asking for a protected corridor on both sides of the trail, as well as to be able to cut the down timber to go ahead and make the trail a little bit easier to access, because there is a lot of down timber. So we're working with Rod and DNR on that, and that's looking very good. And we're waiting on one more meeting to take place. I did get back with Rod and Doug and went ahead and included Charles Andrew, which is the chair for the Knobstone Trail, to be included in that. We're also probably going to bring 2 more people, Randy being one of them, into that meeting as well. So we're waiting for that to get scheduled, but what Rod's telling me, that DNR is talking very favorable as far as trying to work with us and get that done. So, Randy, if you exclude Indian Hills, and that is actually down there in Brown County where the trail, the Indiana Southern Railroad kind of blocked off a section of it right now, but it
You
seems
would
like
want
it's
to bring
moving.
that up, huh? It's a sore spot, yeah.
I can't help it, I gotta bring it up, but we get that completely done. That's gonna make that the largest trail in the state at 85 miles.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
right. You will have the largest trail in the state,
Yeah,
starting right from Martinsville. The largest wooded trail in the state, because between here and Clear Spring, it's all woods.
So, I just wanted to let you know that that is going on as well, and I really appreciate Rod with what his efforts have been working with us as well, so, thank you, Randy.
Thank you, Randall. Appreciate your update, and Kenny, your update. I just ran across an article recently about the growth of trails and the use of trails because of the pandemic. And I think it's just more than the pandemic. I think people are beginning, I've had, well, we've all familiar with the Appalachian Trail, but we have some very, very beautiful scenery and things to see in Indiana. And I'm glad to see you folks working on extending that to the citizenry. Very
Trails,
appreciated.
when I was running for commissioner, trails came up a lot and wanting to back that. And I would just like to be the first one to publicly, when I was running for commissioner this last time, a lot of people approached me on trails and not only the walking, but I also had bicyclers that wanted access and I said, sometimes you have to have some separation because when I'm walking, I don't want to fall in your tire tracks. But, so I appreciate all that you're doing and let me know how I can help. But on a lighter note, I want to be the first one to, because Kenny's the person that I lean on all these trails and have for years. But I just want to publicly be the first to tell Kenny to take a hike. But thank you, and let us know how we can help. I don't think people understand the economic impact too, especially if we have that trail system going right through the southern end of this county, i.e. Martinsville. There'll be a lot of people hiking through here.
Yep. And it is a beautiful walk for the ones that want to do it. It is a beautiful walk through there. It is.
One of my favorite things, still.
Absolutely.
Glad we can do it. And I'm glad that there's that movement. We're thinking about a lot of benefits to the soul and to the heart. Thank you, Randall. We look forward to helping anything we can. The next item on our agenda is a resolution affecting what we call a Regional Economic Acceleration Developing Initiative. Josh?
Good evening, gentlemen. Mike Dillinger with the Morgan County Economic Development Corporation is going to join me too. I'm just going to give a little brief intro and then turn it over to him. But the Ready Grant is an opportunity from the state to be able to potentially leverage up to $50 million of money that they received from the feds, which would come through public and private partnerships on our end that we could leverage for this grant application. It was a pretty fast process, which was akin to speed dating between the the economic development directors around the various counties. But our county, Don, you attended a meeting in Hendricks. Kenny, you attended a meeting with Johnson County. We partnered with the mayor of Martinsville. Councilwoman Kim Meredith was part of it. And in that meeting, the last one we had with Johnson County, we decided that most likely our strongest region to apply with would be Johnson County. And so that's the resolution that you have before you all tonight, is our intent to partner with Johnson County amongst some other municipalities for this Ready Grant. But like I said, I'll turn it over to Mike and let him tell you a little bit more about the program before you guys vote on anything.
Good evening, Mike.
Could I make one comment real fast for this young gentleman that just come to the podium, if I may?
Well, I don't know. We'll let you.
The day that we was walking the Knobstone, the guy had his dog that we run into. This is this gentleman, Mike Gallagher. Mike also utilizes
I'm a hiker.
that trail, so,
I put in about 40 miles a week in Morgan County.
yep.
In Orange County?
Morgan County.
Oh, Morgan
Every week here
County.
in Morgan County. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I
Mostly
didn't
at
hear that.
night Up in the forestry or over at Burkhardt Creek. I love that place.
Good for
That's
you.
a great little loop. So great places to hike.
Well, that keeps you good and healthy,
It certainly
and
does.
it keeps your dog out of trouble.
She keeps me out of trouble, too. Well, to expound upon what Josh said, the state legislature approved $500 million that they're going to divvy hypothetically into 10 $50 million regions. Normally in Indiana, we're part of the Indianapolis metropolitan region, what we call the donut, the 8 counties plus Marion County, those 9. But in this instance, the state decided through the executive branch, hey, let's do something a little bit differently. Rather than using our typical Indiana regions, let's see if we can create new regional partnerships within the state of Indiana. And so as Josh noted, and as Commissioner Adams and Commissioner Hale know, we've participated in meetings in both Hendricks and here with Johnson County. And actually this evening, I know that the resolution is in front of you. There's still hope up in Hendricks County that they might be able to entice us to work with them. However, we continue to tell them, hey, look, we hear you, but not without Johnson County. Originally, when the conversation began, I advocated for Johnson County to be part of what was proposed as a Hendricks, Morgan, Boone, Putnam, those 4 counties. And I indicated, well, we'd like to see Johnson in on that too as well. That really didn't gain a lot of traction with the Hendricks County folks. So that's when, as we've had the conversations here locally, we've become interested in the Johnson County opportunity. We had clarification from the state. The state's program says, the Ready Fund program says, you have to have a minimum of 2 counties. And then there was the concern that you really had to have 3 counties to score. So I got word from the state today saying, in fact, if it's 2 counties with a purpose, we would understand that. And we obviously have to make that selling point as to why a region would be just 2 counties. Well, from the perspective of Johnson and Morgan counties, it's because of I-69 and the River Greenway and the Knobstone and all of our natural resources here that we can use to help entice visitors to Morgan County, and they'll leave a dime on the table, so to speak. We want that tourism aspect. We want the aspect of people coming to visit Morgan County to say, well, it's a nice place. This whole thing is it's a fun to create quality of life, quality of place, and to attract talent. That's what the state wants us to do. So I don't know how the resolution reads this evening as it's been proposed. I know up top it probably says something about whereas all this stuff we're going to work with Johnson and so on. I do know this. The clarification we also got today said if a community joins in one effort or an entity joins one effort and then backs out of it, they can't join another one, all right? But I think as Chris Ham pointed out to us from HWC, who's kind of playing the point guard on this for us, if we create a region that's funded and then we recognize that the region is actually larger than what was originally funded, that can be adapted as well, right? Isn't that how I recall that, Josh? Okay. I like when engineers nod at me. So that being said, I know tonight says something about Johnson, Bargersville. Johnson, I think, is White River Township, Bargersville, the Center Grove area, and the county. I have a conversation tomorrow with the county economic developer who's contacted me, Amanda Rubidoux from Johnson County. And then on Thursday, we have a Zoom call with the Hendricks County people. We're going to try and make a last-ditch effort to see if they can get us up there somehow. I don't know if there's any way that we can fill in this blank after the resolution's approved in that sense, because we don't have to commit tonight to, I mean, the commitment has to be by July 1st, that we would then go look to obtain a planning grant from the state. I expect that the EDC would be the local funder of the planning grant application fund for Morgan County. We've already had that discussion internally. For example, it might be about a $50,000 planning grant fund to get $50,000 for about a $100,000 planning grant. And we've said, hey, we'll cover that for our partners here. That's what we do with the funds that you've invested in us in the past. So tonight it would be the resolution, one way or the other, seeking to inform the state that we're going to go into this partnership. But again, it's about 11:30 at night on the clock, and the partnership may still change unless you're adamant and say, no, it's going to be Johnson County or nothing, because that's your call. So that's what we're here tonight for that. And then certainly if you have any questions on that or anything else, I'd be happy to answer.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Mr. President.
information and the rationale.
It's been a lot to take in over such a short period of time for all of us.
Well, they kind of, I like the concept, I don't like the deadline.
Right. Oh, and I
but-
will expound upon a couple things if I may. For example, projects that the county or the city or Bargersville or Johnson County, whomever, have on the books, so to speak, that are forthcoming, that you haven't funded yet, you can put this into your plan. That's the whole planning process that we would get to after. Step one is to indicate we want to apply for the planning grant. Hopefully we get the planning grant, so on and so forth. But your projects can be put into it. The things that affect quality of life, quality of place, attraction of people. The trail work we just heard about, the river greenway stuff, things that you might have that affect where the county highway department lives, for example. All of those projects, what it is, if I'm not mistaken, it's a public is a 1-to-1 match, and the private would be a 3-to-1.
3 match.
So basically, it's a chance for you to expedite the projects that you're planning to fund to enhance our quality of life here. This is a way for the state to match money, to expedite that for you, to get the things going that we want to do to make Indiana a better place for people to come and be in quality of life stuff. So it's a way for the state to help match your funding for projects of interest to you. Please do.
Thank you. Thank you, Mike.
Great summary. One thing I would add to that is a resolution to join a region is just a first step. The application's not due till August 1st. If for some reason we get into this process and we decide it's not for us, we can pull back out. This is just the first step that we need to take in order to move along. The way your resolution is structured right now, to Mike's point that we're not quite at midnight yet, the only place where we name area is in the last, now therefore it be resolved. We name the I-69 corridor. If you all would like to entertain a different verbiage to that, if you want to leave it more open-ended, or if you want to come back in a special meeting, those are all options that we have if something ends up working out with Johnson and Hendricks. All that's completely up to you. I just wanted to talk through a couple options you have to provide yourself some more flexibility.
Thank you, Josh. I'll entertain comments, questions, suggestions for the resolution. Or motions, either one of the three. I think, do we want to be, I like what Mike was saying about the specifics. You mentioned, of course, we have the 69 corridor, but you also said, you have the Knobstone, you have some trails. You don't have to necessarily specify, but would there be any kind of language that would indicate more than just, I love the I-69 corridor because that's an obvious.
Well, I'm confident that it will be greater than just that. That's
Yeah,
the
but
whole
what would be something else that would
that
kind of give us an
planning
idea of the
process.
resolution that might be, do you have?
They want you to think big and think out of your
Right.
little box. So, Commissioner Hill, if there's something you want to add.
The only thing I'm gonna add, that's gonna be what you actually include in the plan.
Right, that's the planning
That's the
process.
Right.
plan there. This is just a resolution, Don.
But just the corridor itself would be enough to adequately cover what we are going to put in the plan? That's my only,
This is just to get your foot in
yeah, this is the foot in the
this
door.
is-
I
this is
have no
basically
problem with
stating
this
our
one. I just
intent.
thought if you wanted to
Right.
extend it, that would be an opportunity to. But I'm fine with just the I-69 corridor.
Yeah, this, and again, think of the White River Greenway. Think of 144 in
White River
Mooresville,
Greenway.
which is part of the new I-69 corridor. I think you can expound upon that,
Right.
the forestry. Again, what we're looking at is how can we lure to our quality of life people that are looking for the quality of life that we have to offer here in Morgan and Johnson County.
Well, probably the I-69 corridor would probably be a pretty general,
That and the
that
White
covers a lot of
White River,
territory.
The forestry, let's face it, we have 45% of the 9-county region's canopy is in Morgan County, Indiana. So, and I was just speaking with another guest that's here this evening, and it was noted to me, Lori Christie noted that Putnam County approved their resolution today, the Putnam County Commissioners. Hendricks County is focusing on being the center of something. And Hendricks County, they have a significant piece of infrastructure on the west side of Indianapolis called Ronald Reagan Parkway. And I can imagine that Hendricks County is looking how you extend that into Boone, 146th Street from Hamilton County into Boone someday. Putnam County drives into Hendricks County for work, that sort of thing, as do we. But we really looked at, with the new I-69 corridor that the state just graced us with, and Johnson County, in the first person, reached out to Morgan County to say, we want to partner with you rather than going somewhere else, because the east side of Johnson County seems to be going along the I-65 corridor. So my understanding is this would be Martinsville, Morgan County, Johnson County, Bargersville, White River Township / Center Grove, right? And then I think that the case that can be made is Marion County is working with Hamilton County and communities up there on their river greenway project, which they're well deep into. So Johnson and Morgan were not invited into that, so to speak. Nothing personal. They just were looking to the north where they've already funded something, right? So Johnson County looked at this and said to us, well, it makes sense we would do something here together with this new interstate. For us, the obvious attachment is we have White River just waiting to entertain people, so. Yep. And the forestry, of course, the many things we have in Morgan County.
And just so Don and Brian knows, I mean, we worked with Al up in Hamilton County, Indy Parks in Marion County, a couple people from Johnson County for Anita Knowles and another gentleman for many years, from '05, and we had them meetings we used to hold them at CILTE, Central Indiana Land Trust Office. Clip Chapman was nice enough to host it all the time for us. And I mean, we had that for several years, and we know the Monon's coming down the west side. That's why I focused with our trail system, getting on that west side. That's why it's so important to me to get that bridge back across White River, because we've already got plans. The Aerovision Board already approved the plan that we did at the airport that is connecting Hendricks, Plainfield, Mooresville, Sedalis with the Landersdale Trail, with the Greenway Trail coming up the west side. Me, Jeff Banning, and Tom Maggott's done trails. We got story maps. We got KML maps connecting the city of Greenwood with Myers to Johnson County, coming down Smith Valley on the east side. And that's why you see we got trails connecting that away, all the way down to Waverly, coming on down to Burkhart's Creek, also connected to the Knobstone. So, I mean, there's been a lot of planning that's went in place. There's a lot of maps in place, KML and story maps. So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that can go into it. Johnson County's got their new planning. We got our new comprehensive plan zoning ordinance, or comprehensive plan and I-69 plan. I mean, there's a lot of documentation that's already compiled to go in this ready grant. So, I mean, but right now, we're just here pertaining to the resolution, making that first step, getting in there. So, wanted to make sure you guys were aware of all the planning that's went into this all the way back to 2005.
Well, I appreciate that, and it's good to see. I guess I look at the science of the science of making the request, which is, I know this is the initial start, but it looks like we've got the pieces of the puzzle already laying on the table, and this would just simply help put it together.
This just starts the ball in motion. Josh and I were talking about Mooresville and Rovia haven't made commitments either. It would be easy for us for them to tag along with us. One of the things we've talked about on the north end of the county is Hendricks County has a great trail system. Commissioner Hale mentioned Sedalis Park. Connecting that, getting a trail down here, and can you imagine connecting all of those trails on that northwest side right down through us, down into the Knobstone, as was mentioned, down to the Ohio River. It would be just a great amenity for us to be an attraction point for Hendricks County. It's always, seems like we're always going there for things. Right. It'd be nice for them to come down here and enjoy what we have to offer and leave $1 while they're doing it.
I think we've got a lot to offer, and I appreciate it.
All right, thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Josh. Further questions or comments from the board? I'm ready for a motion.
Go ahead and make a motion that we approve the Ready Grant resolution with Morgan County, Johnson County, joining on the I-69 White River Corridor.
I thank you for the motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the resolution identifying our region as part of the grant for the I-69 corridor. We'll be working with Johnson County. Is that correct? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 3-0. This doesn't have a number on it. Do we need to put a,
It will get one.
Dan will give it a number? For Deb? 21, 20, well, we'll see it when it comes by. Yeah, we'll get her all lapped up. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it.
Mr. President, if you'd like, Josh had said I could still have the floor for a couple minutes. It's
Now,
up to
wait,
you.
you just jump right in there,
No, I
Mike.
just
We
need
appreciate it.
Some quick updates on stuff. As you know, we focused this year on the housing issue. The Economic Development Corporation, we can't say enough how we have to create capacity for all sectors, housing, commercial, and industrial. We focused on helping some housing development that seems to be moving forward now with Mooresville and with Martinsville. There's some pending in Monrovia still. So good things are coming in the future. I think that we'll see more of this come into play as the interstate project moves forward. For me, it's exciting to know because as an economic developer, in my career, things have changed from where we used to go out and chase a company and people would come to the jobs, and now the companies go to where the people are to create the jobs, which means we want to see some some modest population growth in the county. We obviously continue to be part of the Indianapolis region, and that has a great influence upon our workforce. But we are looking at opportunities where we can find higher wage opportunities to get more of our workers in Morgan County each day, and also help more commuters into the county for a higher wage opportunity. You know, before COVID, we had about 40% of our local economy, our workforce, went out of the county for wages each day. So about 16,500 people. Conversely, about 9,500 were coming into the county. But the wages they were coming into the county for were still lower in the sense, but higher from where they live. So we want to be an anchor. We want to be a place for those higher wage job opportunities. Simply put, it wasn't too long ago, we were approached by a company that recently announced they were going to an adjacent county, and they asked us about an opportunity here in Morgan County. And we had an internal discussion and realized, you know, this would be a competitor to one of our major manufacturers, not just in the product they make, but also for the workforce at a value that we really want to try to get beyond. So we're looking at that from an industrial perspective too, is how can we create more capacity to create higher wage opportunities here in the county? Good things going on in this, you know, we've got a couple startup companies. Indiana has become focused on the energy sector, on renewables, on alternatives. On the local level, we're starting to see entrepreneurship come in those areas. The mayor here has been very open to the idea of housing, made a comment recently that there could be hundreds of new homes platted here, or available here very soon in Martinsville, just Martinsville and greater Martinsville itself. So opportunity for growth. And what we hope to see is with these opportunities, younger families come in and create anchors. You know, we want younger families putting kids in our schools and bringing that money into our school corporations as well. So step by step, and we're not looking to bowl anybody over. What we've noted is if our county's growing at 700 people, or about 1% per year right now, if we were growing at 2,000 people or 2,100 people at 3%, it'd take us 15 years to become a county of 100,000 people. And there's so much traffic going through our county every day because of where we are in this transportation system that you probably wouldn't notice a difference. So we have room to create the capacity, and if we do, people will respond to it. I think that the Waverly wastewater treatment plant is going to be a very good example of that sooner rather than later. So exciting times on the horizon. You know, the pressures from Hendricks County on Monrovia are great. Monrovia is facing some changes being thrust upon it, and so Monrovia's leadership is working to get out in front of that. And we hope, you know, as Monrovia is a member of the EDC, and it's not our effort to try to tell them what to do, but it's our effort to help them in what they're doing and how they're deciding what they want to do. So it's to be a partner to them rather than to be a pusher, and let them make up their own minds, and then we're a resource to them. So lots of good stuff going on out there in the horizon.
Well, it's thank you, Mike. It certainly is. And one of the other things I ran across, I'm sure you're aware of, is the I-69 corridor also is a superhighway for internet. And I mean the big line between Monroe and Ivy Tech, or not Ivy Tech, IUPUI. And so there's a whole new ballgame that's, I'm just excited about the future. I think it's
am
going to be
too.
wonderful.
I think
Yep.
good things are coming, and
Yep.
they'll come incrementally.
Yep.
And don't get me wrong, we'll see some setbacks, okay? I mean, probably sooner rather than later in life. It's economics, but we move on, and more to come. So thank you
you.
all for your time this evening. Thank you, Commissioner.
Appreciate it. Okay, see where we are here. Josh, what we got here?
Resolution approving the disposition of an EMS vehicle.
Right.
Director Donnie Warren has had an ambulance that's been ready, he's been ready to get rid of. Trying to think through the best way to do that. In talking with Hendricks County and Hamilton County, they have used Enterprise Fleet Management, which we're a partner of, to get rid of some of their public service vehicles as well as others. And they said they've been very pleased with the amount of money they're getting when they go through that program. I did call State Board of Accounts because it wasn't clear to me that Enterprise would meet the requirements of IC 522. They said as long as we passed a resolution naming that that's the direction we wanted to go, they didn't see why they would take any issue with that. And so tonight's resolution is for the ability to use Enterprise to dispose of our ambulance.
If the State Board of Accounts is happy, Dan's happy, and I'm happy. Right? Everybody's happy. Any questions on the resolution on the ambulance? Or that, is it a resolution?
Yes.
Yes. Any questions on the resolution for the ambulance sale, or the used ambulance sale?
Brian Collier makes the motion that we adopt and pass the resolution approving disposition of EMS vehicles.
Second.
Motion's been made on the resolution concerning the sale of a used ambulance. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Motion passes 3-0.
Thank you all.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Josh.
Thank you, Josh. Next item is a resolution on the opioid issue. Jim,
Yes,
you want to address what we're looking at here?
I'd be happy to. We discussed a little bit last time. I'd be happy to try to answer any questions anyone has. This opt-out period would allow us to opt back in. It's anticipated that units of local government throughout the state may take advantage of this opportunity and attempts to renegotiate the distribution as determined in HB 1001. And I believe we'd have till September 30th to opt back in. Essentially, to me, it's a zero-sum game. You might as well, and we can always reverse course and opt back in if that's what makes sense. So,
Any questions from the board on the resolution to opt out? I'll entertain a motion.
Brian Collier makes the motion that we adopt and approve the resolution to opt out of opioid settlement pursuant to Indiana Code 4-6-15-2.
Second.
Motion's been made to opt out, the resolution, opt out of the opioid settlement pursuant to Indiana Code 4-6-15-2. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 3-0. Okay. Next item on the agenda is, it really comes at the suggestion of some of the situation. Oh, by the way, I aim to introduce, we have a member of the council here, Vicki Kivett, and this will be coming on her plate here pretty soon. We're looking at the solid waste district, how it's budgeted and how it's been. We've had the solid waste district for 20 years, I suppose. But the way it's structured financially, actually, Dan brought us some, I should say, Auditor Baston brought us some suggestions that he ran across that would probably be useful and worth considering. Really, what we need to do right now is introduce it to you. This is not a motion yet, but in your packet is the information on how we can, there's several different options on how we can fund the solid waste district. And one of them, they're all kind of outlined for you here. What I think is the purpose of this being on the agenda, so we can proceed to look over the options that we have right now. I don't expect we're going to decide. There's a lot of meat to chew. So what we have, and appreciate Josh and Dan and putting all this together on the different things in the management of a solid waste management district, on how we proceed. So I look for us to look this over. It's introduced to you this evening. You can make, obviously, some comments here if you'd like in a minute, but then I'd like for us to dig into the code and then make a decision. I would say next month we should have something that, so when they get ready to go to budget time, we have a better grasp of what our direction we're going to do and how we're going to fund it. Does that make sense, Josh, or are we, am I overlooking something?
In terms of timelines, I would defer to Dan, and I would like him to give a summary, because the reason this is on your agenda, as Don alluded to, at the last council meeting, Dan came with a handful of options, and one that was new to him was the absorption of solid waste into a department of the commissioners. Brian and I talked a little bit in the meeting of the council of how our property taxes are currently funding the district versus the pros and cons of absorbing them. Who else is paying part of that, which Dan alluded to the fact that it's really just the county, even though Martinsville and Monrovia have a seat on the board. And so does it make sense for you all to just make that a department of the commissioners? And I think Dan has some IC 36 code for you, which kind of outlines how you would do that and take action if you wanted to go that route. And so I would ask Dan to give his summary that he gave to the council, and then we all can discuss to the extent we want to dive into it tonight. Are we even interested in learning more? Do we just want to leave it to the council to decide? That's really the intent for this evening.
Okay.
Well, the Morgan County Solid Waste District has never had a property tax levy, and it's always been funded from the assets or cash that was turned over to the county when Morgan County exited the joint solid waste district several years ago, and that and the combination of a budget line item appropriation in the county general fund. But the district still is operated separately as a solid waste district. There was some interest by some council members, and some of whom are former council members, but interest in that the solid waste district have a property tax levy of its own, and there is a process that the county would need to follow in order to get that established with the Department of Local Government Finance. And so I was pursuing that, and then in the process of doing that, came upon an Indiana code that starting effective in June 30 of 2017, having a solid waste management district is no longer mandatory, and the county has the option to operate solid waste management as a department of the county rather than a separate district, and that department would be under the county commissioners. And there, at the last council meeting, there was a lot of interest in pursuing that as opposed to establishing a separate levy, and as opposed to continuing as we are. which would mean continue as we are, is to have a separate district, yet the funding would be solely from the county through the county general fund. The other option would be to get established a separate levy. There really wasn't, there wasn't a lot of interest in continuing that once it was learned that there's a third option to dissolve the county solid waste district, and that then it just becomes a department of the county, and the county commissioners and the whole operation of managing the solid waste would be governed by the Board of County Commissioners and not by the Solid Waste District Board. So that's an option the county has. The one item missing from your agenda packet tonight is the process in doing that. Because since the code that authorizes the county to dissolve the district the process isn't addressed in that same code section, since that is the case, then the process defaults to a process that's already in the code in Title 36, where it's a process that would not only be used for the dissolving of the solid waste district, but is a code site that's used whenever there is any dissolution of a political subdivision, which is what is the case now. And so it's a process that would begin with the county commissioners with a resolution, and excuse me. So it's a rather lengthy process. You're going to have to begin with a resolution. It starts with the county commissioners and then approved by the county council. There will be a public hearing on that resolution, and then there's a waiting period or 180 days period where the public has an opportunity to speak on that proposed resolution, and then you have to adopt a plan, and that plan would be made public for the public to make comment on, and that's and so it's a process. The process of the plan can't be adopted any earlier than 180 days after the plan is made public, and then but at the end of that plan and that process, then the assets of the solid waste district would be made part of the county's assets, and the management of that of the solid waste would be under the county commissioners. And those are the sort of things that have to be addressed in the plan. Is how the county intends to continue after the dissolution of the district, and so that is what just was passed down for everyone, and to read through and decide what you want to do next, and when you want to start the process. But the process starts with this board here. And so, you know, we're probably looking, there's probably no way that this will occur before January 1 because of the 180 days. But, you know, it is something that could occur sometime next year, or you could extend it into the first of the next. That's your call, whatever the timing for that. But that's what there is a process.
Yeah, 180 days would make it our timeline. We wouldn't be in the budgeting area this year for the levy. And
There will be no levy. No, the
how is
levy.
this going to, this would be just the organization of the board. Is that?
No, there will be
Tell
no.
me how this works.
There will be no board.
Well, the commissioners are the board.
The commissioners will replace the solid waste
That's what I mean.
management district.
Right, yeah. And would that, I guess my simple question is, would that affect your budgeting? I mean, how do you, will it
well,
affect what you do
if-
this August?
Short answer is no.
Okay,
Because of the fact that the way the county has financed the solid waste district is the county has treated the solid waste district as though it is a department of the county. And so that would all, the budgeting and all of that would
so
continue.
transparent.
What will change if you dissolve the board, the district, is that there will no longer be a separate board. The governing, the management of solid waste will be decisions made by 3 commissioners.
Like what we do now with the park board. Okay.
Yeah, a little more formally than what you do.
A little more formally.
But,
Okay.
but that's, but no, budget, no, the budget, only
It
if
doesn't
the
affect
county
that.
council had wished to go the route of
Levy?
levy, that's where it would have affected the budget process.
Okay.
This process of,
Doesn't make any difference on that, it's just the control of the board after that, is that what
that's
I'm
correct.
hearing? Okay, all right. Want to think about it, you want to start the process, 6 months, it doesn't seem to be contingent upon anything, except if you're interested, let's start the motion.
I would suggest that you read through this Title 36.
Okay, let's do that.
Because it lays out what you need to do in regards to a plan.
Is my suggestion, let's just, I think we can put this on the agenda for July, maybe a month from now. That gives us, that's quite a bit of material to look at. And
Are
let's,
you the first or the second meeting of July?
second meeting, I think. Is that
I
all
don't
right?
know if Dan will be here on the first one. That's falling on July 5th. And that's a federal holiday that the previous board made us come to work.
Privileges for the July 4th holiday.
Right. Did we vote on that? If Commissioner Collier says it's for you, I'm definitely in favor. All right, let's put it on for the second meeting in July, if that works. All right. Kenny, second?
I'll second
All right,
what was just discussed.
we'll put the concern about the solid waste district structure on the board, or the solid waste on the board for July, a month from this meeting. Any other questions? We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. 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 So I pass that as a request for the discussion to be, the process to be decided at the second meeting of July. Okay, as I look at the agenda, I think we're ready for old business, or tabled business. Jim, any word from the American Water property? I know they're building and doing something up there, but have they got together on us with it?
Well, I'm going to need a little bit of additional time, but I'm hopeful that we can have it wrapped up at the next meeting. I was hopeful of that today, but I think that we should be able to at the next meeting.
Thank you, Jim. We'll look forward to hearing from them. Fleet Management Solution, this is, Josh, you want to explain what we're cooking here?
Yep, this was a concept you guys wanted to move forward with Enterprise, and they are in partner with, it's essentially Geotabs, and which is a vendor of Sourcewell, which is that state contract we've talked about in the past, where if somebody's qualified through Sourcewell, they're qualified for us to use as a low bidder. Geotabs is actually in the process of their annual renewal with Sourcewell, and so we're essentially locked down until that process is finished. So they have all of our documentation, we're just waiting for that process to get finalized between Geotabs and Sourcewell, and then Enterprise will reach back out to us.
So we'll return to this,
I would put it on the next agenda. They had told me they hope to have something official by the end of this week. I don't know if that's true or not, but I would go ahead and put it on the next agenda.
thank you, sir.
Thanks for the update, Josh.
Thank you for the update. Other business we have are the minutes from June the 7th. I entertain a motion
So moved.
to approve. No changes, second. All in favor of the minutes as written? Aye. Aye. Motion passes 3-0. The next item on our agenda is for the good of the county. Do you gentlemen have anything to bring for the good of the county? I was just, again, since our last meeting, Vicki was very active with our museum. We did get a rain out Saturday for the golf outing, but that just offers a few more weeks. It's going to be July the 10th, I think. Saturday, July the 10th, for anybody. Be sure and get you a team together and come out and enjoy supporting the museum. And you don't need to worry about winning the truck. I've got it all lined up. I've been practicing my par threes. So a Mustang. I wanted a truck, but I'll try I'll take the Mustang. Sure, you're welcome anytime. Vicki Kivett from our county council and museum.
I just want to say, about 9 days before we had our official ribbon cutting, we had an ice cream social to our supporters and our donors, and that was very well attended. And then our grand opening, we didn't know what to expect, just like our first year, our expenses and what the reaction on. We don't know what to expect. We're just having a blast over there and happy to do what we're doing. But we probably had about 90 people through for our ribbon cutting, and we have had nothing but very, very favorable results, comments, people wanting to bring their kids back, which is our heart. We want to see that. We're entertaining groups in there. We have 2 educational groups coming in the next 12 days, I'd say. We've had some other groups in as well. We had the Leadership Academy, but it's something that we're proud of. We're open to suggestions, what you want to see there. What you see today may not be up, a year from now, but we want suggestions, input, and we want artifacts. And we are still in need of women's military uniforms and Navy from either gender. So we're proud.
Did Susan, I haven't talked to her, but Susan Tomlinson was going to speak to you about a possibility on a program that we might dovetail with the bicentennial. Did you discuss that?
We had a 2.5-hour Zoom today, and she did bring us up to date on the bicentennial committee as well.
Okay,
so.
good. Because I think we can do some things that'll be not just for 2022, but will be for decades. So
Yeah.
we'll be probably coming to the council, say the bicentennial will be coming to the council to look at a budget that might help with that.
But on behalf of our committee, we do appreciate the Morgan County Commissioners for adding that line item to your budget, and also to the Morgan County Council for approving that for at least this calendar year. We hope that it'll continue. At the presentation at the council, Don and I wasn't prepared for it, and I'm embarrassed to say I should have been prepared for it, being a member of the county council, but we don't know what our first year expenses are going to be. We really don't. But, we should have had some, we really want the audio-visual stuff. Kids like to punch buttons and multiple choice stuff. We want to get that. Susan today reported in our Zoom, those things are like $15,000 just for the software. So, we'll get some stuff. We still want you to put it in your budget for 2022 too, and we're having a meeting on Monday to compile, some actual expenses and some projections of what we want to do, so we'll be more prepared for that.
Well, I was really thrilled also to be the winner of the Goldfish in the Bowl.
Oh, and I've got your
And
gift
how
card in
many,
my
how many
purse.
were in the bowl?
I don't know, I
Oh,
didn't handle
man.
that, because I knew people that were going to be in it. But you have a gift card to Gather Round Barbecue over here.
All right.
Thanks to Kevin and Melissa
Yeah,
Green.
well, 292 won, so
Is
that was the number, I guess.
I don't know.
All you Goldfish
Yeah.
guessers.
I count lots of things. I didn't count goldfish crackers.
That was a great event, Vicki, and I know you guys did a tremendous job on our opening of something I think's a new beginning for the county on something that we can gain even more appreciation for our heritage, and I always appreciate that. Any other comments from the board or from the community? Well, thank you all for attending, and wish you safe travels on the way home. And I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Have a good evening.